Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about some pretty strong feelings. Now you're probably wondering why I have this in my lap, and this is actually George. And when I'm talking about feelings, I'm talking about what are the strategies that we're teaching kids. I recently did a video, a very short one, that talked about accommodations and how we don't want to over-accommodate. And I still believe that. I don't just want to send you to a room to calm down. I want you to figure out what to do when you're there. So I'd like to get a little bit more into that with this video and get your comments and questions at the bottom after this is posted. So this is George, and as you can see, George is pretty calm. So if I find myself getting a little riled up, sometimes I reach for George. But let's get into what you can do in your classroom, because you might not all have a George in there. Although we're seeing some extremely good things coming out of therapy dogs and things like that in schools that have been able to put those into place for kids who are really struggling with some frustration, anger, and other emotional needs. So let me just release George right now, and he can go play. When I talk about strategies, I'm really referring to something very specific, somewhat of a toolbox. And I've talked about this in a very short video in the past. So let me show you some examples of what I'm talking about. From preschool through high school, through adulthood, I think we don't all realize how many times we choose strategies and reach for things to help us to deal with feelings. But kids don't always know how to do that. So we have to specifically teach them. Now, first of all, two things that really kind of captured me, that gave me this idea about strategy toolboxes and how to really teach some skills around feelings, were one, when I was consulting to a program many years ago, and we were working with some very young kids who just really struggled with all of, getting themselves together. Another was when I was working with a 16-year-old who said to me one day, he goes, when you told me to use that accommodation to go to a quiet spot and calm down? And I said, yeah. I said, how's that working for you? And he said, well, it's fine when I'm there. He said, but am I supposed to be doing something there? And I had this aha moment in my head, and I said, whoa, that's a really good question. What are you supposed to be doing there? Because number one, we want our youngsters to be able to graduate from specialized programs when they're having some serious emotional difficulties. And two, we want our older kids to be able to lessen the amount of times that they have to leave a classroom. And totally understandable that you cannot pull yourself together or have any room for schoolwork or conversation or anything when you're really ramped up. So first of all, we want to really name what that feeling is. So is it frustration? Is it mad? Is it sad? Is it I don't like the kid next to me? Is it fearful? Is it fear of failure, acceptance, vulnerability? What is it that you're feeling? And so when we came up with this idea, it's to say, okay, if I can identify the feeling and say what it is, what can I pick from that when I go to my quiet spot, I can use? We see a lot of research out there that tells us that meditation and mindful practices, as I've talked about in other videos before, have been really powerful with kids. And I totally believe in, that's something we need to put into place. But let's talk about an individual strategy toolbox. You're working with a child who experiences some very strong emotions. They can go to a place where they think about it. What do they do there? Something as concrete as this could actually happen. So I'm going to show you kind of an example, a concrete example of what a toolbox might look like. So I'm going to pick up this. This is what I might call my strategy toolbox. And it has some actual things in there that help me to find a place in my mind, or my brain, if you will, to change that mindset of how I'm feeling. So I go to my quiet spot and I open my strategy toolbox. And for younger kids or even older kids, we might have a card on the top that has a picture if they can't read, or even a saying if they can read, that says, this is what I do when I'm frustrated. And on the back of it, there could be some menu of things, if you will, that they can pick from to use at that particular moment. For a younger kid, it might be a picture of something. And we really teach them that even though some things in their strategy toolboxes might look like toys, we want to teach them how to use them. Because we all know we don't want to have all kinds of things in our classroom floating around the room like squishy balls if they're not going to use them the way they're supposed to. So be really specific before you start putting those things into your classroom. And working with an individual, the same thing. This is how it's used. This is how it's not used. So here's an example of how we do this every day. We just don't realize it. So when you pick for your strategies, I want you to start thinking about, what am I feeling? What is the emotion that is making me want to to grab one of these things. So an example might be you've got an app on your phone that helps you, gives you some music or is calming, helps you to activate that part in your brain that calms you down. Maybe you've got, I believe that we need to teach people how to do nothing, how to just stop, relax, and do nothing. And as we've experienced, people have a very difficult time doing nothing, and it's very powerful to learn that. So sometimes I will teach kids, and this is one of my favorite little calendars that has a saying on here, today I'm going to master the art of doing nothing. And when I read this brilliant little caption, I realized how important it was that when we teach kids, hey, when you go to your corner, don't think of anything, just don't think, and just clear your brain. Interesting concept, but extremely powerful. Other things, whenever I'm presenting, if you've seen me before, you know I always have these on my desk. There's peppermint, keeps me going, makes me feel a little, keeps my mouth kind of fresh, and I just love my, my mints, and I also love my, dark chocolate. We all know what that does for us when we're feeling a little bit frustrated or in a pinch. Other things you might pick from when I'm feeling not confident, or I'm like, oh, I'm just not feeling it today. I'm going to this very difficult meeting. So you know what I pick from? Lipstick. Yeah, lipstick. My mom always said, put your lipstick on and get out there and do it. So this is what I pick from. It kind of boosts my confidence. I don't know why. I think it just goes into place of what my mama used to tell me. And so I grab out my lipstick and I can go out there and tackle the world. These are just strategies. These are our toolboxes. My Mr. Rogers sticky notes. I've shared these with some people before in workshops. Every time I open it and have to write a note to a colleague about something, I go, for that split second, I just calm down a little bit, even if it's a difficult note. So little things, these are all strategies. If I'm an artist, I want to teach the kids to color. Go there, grab one of your art projects, start working on it for 5 minutes, set your timer, color for 5, and then come back to class for 5. Just that coloring might, allow you to pull yourself together. We know as adults, we look at oils for happiness and oils for stress, if you're into essential oils, and those might be a strategy. Even some of the older kids have really grabbed onto that. And maybe it's a little kid who has a special friend, and he doesn't have to carry, or she doesn't have to carry that special friend around all the time, but it could be something they keep in their strategy toolbox for when they are becoming so overwhelmed and angry, they just need a moment with that special friend. And it's okay to say to my special friend, you know what, I'm really, really super angry right now and I want to punch someone. Help me through this. That's okay to teach, but you got to teach it. You can't ever say to someone, just go calm down. So let's recap. You want to use some accommodations? By all means, definitely use them. But remember, we're looking for concrete strategies. We've got to purposely teach. What do I do with my mad? What do I do with my sad? What do I do with my frustration? Because that's what's going to help them out of it. And so as they graduate through school, they might reflect back on some of these things that they learned from you as an adult. And hopefully with maturity, they will be able to transfer that into their adult life, despite what's going on with them now. I hope this was helpful for you. You can have a lot of fun developing these with kids right through all ages. And if you do, please share that. Tell us what you've done in the comments below, and share it with our group of people here, and we can all get better at it. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss another video. I speak and consult on school behavior, and I love to help districts solve some of these problems. See you next time.